Hey Thomas, what offends you?
You know what offends me this week, honestly, is the complete and utter uh, disarray that, especially in Colorado, I'm sure it's like this in other areas, but that like COVID has made every single. I work in a school, and it's made every school stupid. It's made every school not make the right decisions. It's made every school like do
So
these
true.
things that
It's
all it
so
does is
true.
piss everybody off. It pisses off if you're in the K-12, it's pissing off parents and students. If you're in colleges, universities like myself, it's pissing off administrators and students. Like I was in charge of COVID compliance the entire last semester, and now we're completely changing everything. And it's just like, you know what are we doing here? and
Right.
and they have no clue. We have some schools who are giving people a full virtual, week off, and then our school is like, nah, you have to come in. No one's there, but you have to come in. Why would you not come in? Why would we not be open? So what offends me right now is the inability for administrators in both higher education and in K-12 education to get their shit together and figure out how we are going to educate people and also keep them safe. It
That
ain't
was
that hard. Figure it out.
that, that was hands down the best opening to offended asking that question we've ever had. And welcome to Offended, presented by the Anything But Credible Network. It's your boy Tricky, alongside from the What's Your Bliss podcast. Welcome to the show for the first time by himself. Thomas, how you doing?
I am wonderful, Tricky. Thank you so much for having me on. I am excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited. This will be our top 20 matches of 2021. I was thinking around. I'm like, who could I ask to come on the show? Because Katie doesn't know 21 or 20 matches to, talk about. I was like, oh, duh, Thomas.
Absolutely. No, I'm really pumped. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I was thinking like, shit, we should just talk wrestling more often.
I would absolutely love that. That is definitely a dream of mine, so to speak. I'll talk wrestling all day, every day. So
Hell yeah.
I'm excited.
Hell yeah. I'm excited. This is the most excited I've been for a podcast since I won the movie game, honestly.
Ouch. Beating me in the finals, of course. So I take full offense to that, as per the title of the show. So great.
And this will be available on YouTube. I'm going to try and put this out on YouTube before I even put it out on any podcasting service for the first one of 2022. Change it up a bit, see if we can get some views on YouTube. And
That's
hopefully
awesome.
Denny can see the name as it's recording.
Yeah, the name is perfect.
So you host What's Your Bliss podcast on the Anything But Credible Network. Can you tell us a little bit about that podcast before we get started?
Yeah, of course. So, What's Your Bliss started last year, really a look into what's bringing people absolute joy in their lives. We've had a number of different types of topics. My initial goal in starting all of that was really just to talk kind of about, the little things that brought people bliss, enjoy the kind of weird things or quirky things. So, we had people that came on and talked about hobbies and things like that. Kyle came on, Foshi from the Going Off Topic podcast. He talked about collecting bobbleheads. And then it started getting like a lot more serious. We had people talking about love and talking about, kind of, coming back from pretty, atrocious mental health and those types of situations, and really like how they were able to find bliss out of some hardship and things like that. So it's kind of gone into a direction that I wasn't expecting, but it's been absolutely wonderful. I interview a new guest pretty much every week, falling off a little bit towards the end of the year, but hoping to have a real special episode actually coming out this week. So stay tuned for that.
Nice. Yeah, we fall off at every year. I feel like we fall off in December. It's the holidays roll around, and it's so hard to record.
So busy, man.
No, and I always like get excited. I'm like, we're gonna do so many episodes like how we did for the Halloween stuff, and then I do one.
Yep, yeah, for sure.
Where can we find What's Your Bliss?
You can find it on anythingbutcredible.com or anywhere where you can find your podcast. Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, the whole jam. It's out there, ready to be consumed.
It is easily the most professional podcast on our network by far, like hands down.
Yeah,
It's
sometimes I get
meaningful.
anxiety about it.
Right?
I get anxiety about it sometimes because I'm like, this maybe doesn't fit our motif, but I intended it to, and then it just went in a direction that became a lot more serious. And I still try to have a little bit of humor here and there,
Mhm.
but in general, I would agree. The most professional podcast on the anything, the credible part of the Anything But Credible network, for sure.
It really is. It really is the most credible podcast on our network. I listen to it. I'm just like, wow, what is this doing on our network? This is like way too good to be on our network.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course, of course. And some exciting offended news coming up for this year. We are starting another show. We're going to talk about weed. Basically, we're having our own weed podcast. So stay tuned for that. We don't know the name yet, but it's coming soon. And I will actually not be hosting it. I will actually be just a producer on it. So
That's
I'm excited
awesome.
for that. So, and the host of the show, his name is Dylan. So I want to send a congratulations to him. He just had his second baby 2 weeks ago. So congrats, Dylan. And I can't wait to start this podcast. So I'm excited.
Gonna be busy for a while, Dylan, but that sounds really exciting. Both the baby and the weed podcast. Excited for both.
Yeah, I'm excited. Big things come in 2022. I can feel it. This network's going to explode only because we got you as the real podcast, and we can trick people into buying into the network.
That might be it. Yeah, that might be it.
Oh, it's fucking great. All right. Let's get into the top 20 matches of 2021. I need to preface my list real quick, just saying this is mostly all AEW matches for me. I mean, I kind of fell behind on New Japan this year. Couldn't really get back into it. It just feels like they kind of went backwards. And
yeah.
I don't know. And WWE is it's WWE.
No, we talked about it offline a little bit. Like Raw especially is unwatchable. SmackDown, you can get some things here and there. NXT is completely different. Obviously, we can talk about the positives and negatives of that. But yeah, I would agree with the New Japan thing. I've watched less New Japan this year than I think I've watched in the last 7 years, maybe.
Yeah, same.
I mean, it like really it fell off, and they had good matches. I've caught a couple of things here and there, but it when Wrestle Kingdom was on the other night or the other morning for us, I completely forgot. I literally until day 2 it was like, oh, I'm seeing results and things like that. I was like, oh, that's weird. And
I didn't even watch it yet.
I haven't either.
I heard the main events of both nights were really good, but
what I heard too. Yeah.
I haven't heard anything else though about it.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's been really hard. I don't know obviously they lost a ton with the guys that's coming over to AEW, but even then, I mean, I feel like they were trucking for a little bit, and it just it feels like it's really it seems like it should be better right now, right? Because they have the US stuff going on too, but it just feels like it's completely off the radar for me, at least.
And like I feel like they're changing up their world champions a lot. Like it's not really like a set like thing. It just keeps
a little more
going.
Hot potato.
Yeah. It's going to like wrestlers that I wouldn't really consider, no disrespect to them, but I wouldn't consider them world champion material.
No, I think that's fair. And I think to your point, like when Evil won the championship, it was like, and love Evil. I've always enjoyed his stuff, but it was like, okay, we're obviously trying something new, and then they kind of backed away from it pretty quickly, and so it really feels like they're like they try to do things and then they go, just kidding. And the break glass, of course, is Okada, so which I get. He's amazing.
Yeah, he is. He's unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. I'm gonna kick us off here. I'm just gonna run down these matches, and again, if we want to talk about any of these matches, we can just kind of speed up the process. We did one year where me and my buddy, we did all 20 one by one, and I think it went 3 hours. So
yeah, I got you.
So I'm going to start off at number 20. I have the Casino ladder match from the Dynamite anniversary episode between Adam Hangman Page, John Moxley, Orange Cassidy, Pac, Andrade, Idolo, Lance Archer, and Matt Hardy. It's where Hangman comes back, wins, finally gets his chance to go wrestle for the title at matches. The last 20 minutes, or not 20 minutes, the last 7 minutes of that match is nonstop craziness. Like that match is insane. At number 19, I got Pinnacle versus Inner Circle, Blood and Guts from Dynamite. I got, all right, this is the one I kind of actually want to talk about. Number 18, Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship in the exploding barbed wire death match from Revolution. A lot of people hate this match. I thought this match was fantastic until the last 5 seconds of the match. Like really, like that.
It wasn't even the match. It was after the match. I mean, it wasn't even the actual match. Yeah.
And the anticipation that when Eddie Kingston comes down, I was like, I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, oh my God, like this is a movie. Like they're gonna die, and then sparklers. It's like I was just remember sitting there like, oh no, this might ruin AEW. Like.
Yeah. I'm glad you put that on your list. And I actually, I have it pretty high on my list because to me, like the finish did not taint it. I'll talk a little bit about it when we get up there, but the finish to me didn't taint it enough. That match was brutal. But I'll save that because it actually corrects my top 10. So
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I love that. Number 17, I got Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor versus Miro and Kip Sabian at the Arcade Anarchy from the Dynamite. 16, I got CM Punk, Darby Allin at All Out. I mean, just Punk coming back and being there for his first match back. That atmosphere was just wild. And when that didn't main event the show, I was like, okay, they got something big planned to end the show if this isn't main eventing. So that's just wild. Number 15. Kenny Omega, Jungle Boy for the AEW World Championship on the Saturday Night Dynamite that they did back in June. At number 14, I got WWE on here. Roman Reigns, Edge, Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship, WrestleMania Night 2. At number 13, Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki on the buy-in on YouTube, which was like a Rampage, I think. I can't believe that they didn't put that on TV. That match is that's a stiff match. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And the way that the arena set up during that match, I think it's in Miami. But the crowd is like almost level with the ring. So it gives you just a more intense feel when you watch that match too. I love it.
Right.
It gives you like a PWG vibe almost. At number 12, Kenny Omega, Rey Fenix, AEW World Championship at New Year's Day Slam Night 1. And at number 11, I got Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania Night 1. That's my first 10. Well, 20 through 11, I should say.
Awesome. Well, I'll jump in with mine. And I definitely see a lot of similarities on our list. Mine is it probably has a little more WWE than you do, but definitely more AEW heavy. But to start with, we'll start with WWE. So number 20 was John Cena and Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. It was not a match I was expecting to be as good as it was. I don't think that it was quite on par with their No Mercy match from a couple of years ago, but it was pretty solid. The next one was Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan at Fastlane. It's crazy. The Bryan Danielson story like throughout this entire year is nuts. It's insane. The only non AEW and WWE match I have on here, which is Matt Cardona versus Nick Gage at Bloodsport, which is at number 18. Dude, that was like, I am not like, deathmatch wrestling is so hard for me. I used to be like super hardcore, like, and love it, but like, man, I can't stomach it. I'm too old. I don't know, but I loved the story going to that. And Matt Cardona is doing amazing work on the indies right now.
I'm so happy for him. So happy.
Oh yeah, for sure. I have Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly at TakeOver 36, their 2 out of 3 falls match. Big E, Lashley, and Roman Reigns on a random Raw in September. I just wrote big meaty men bumping meat, so that's all you need, right?
I love that. I fucking love Big E.
I have the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, which was Big E beating Drew McIntyre, John Morrison, Kevin Owens, Nakamura, Ricochet, Riddle, and Seth Owens. I'm actually a little surprised by the amount of people that are still in WWE from that match based on their current model of just getting rid of everybody.
That match was so brutal. They take some spots in that match. I think it was like Owens jumping up. Did he do a frog splash off the ladder?
That was, yep.
Oh, like that match they go hard. You could just tell like that was like their first time being back in front of fans and they wanted to just go all out.
Absolutely. No, that's a really good point. And like it also is like, as we could talk about forever, but the failing that they've done with Ricochet. I mean, you look at that match, you look at any match he really does, but like look at that match and you go, this guy could be. They use him as Shelton Benjamin, and he could be, everything for them. He could be Eddie Guerrero for them.
Oh yeah. I mean, you look at like Jake Atlas, like last night on Rampage wrestling Adam
amazing.
Cole. He was awesome.
Yeah.
It's like
get better,
was this
Jake.
In WWE? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Budge.
Love it. The next match I have is the Danielson Eddie Kingston Rampage match. Really liked that match. I'll talk about Kingston a little bit later. Actually, I think it's right before my top 10. But
I forgot that match.
Then I have the Phoenix and Kenny Omega New Year's Smash match as well. I said on here, and I want to talk about this one briefly, but it's forgotten because the year was so great, honestly, and because and both of them had better matches than this one. But this match was so good, and remind you that he can be a single star too, and will be amazing. Like everyone. I think you and I have talked about this briefly too, but like he's this almost feels blasphemous, but he's better than Rey Mysterio.
I agree.
And it's crazy because I never thought that would be possible.
Right. It's absolutely insane how good Rey Fenix is. The way he can walk on the ropes, the way that he can basically just twist his body in midair is insane. Yeah. And the fact that he didn't break his fucking arm on Dynamite.
I don't know how that happened.
And that was the most disgusting thing I've ever. That was like what you said. It was like Sid Vicious. Like that reminded me of that so much. And then it's badly. It's just badly dislocated, and he could be back within 3 weeks. Like what?
Right. Like the man is inhuman. And it's I said it to you the other day, but like his body is exactly like he is just in general, right? Like
he's a cheat
complete
code.
Resilience, complete flexibility. Complete cheat code. But that match was really good and really showed what Phoenix could do by himself as well, which I liked. Then I have the Walter and Ilya Dragunov match from NXT TakeOver 36. Another just beefy, brutal match, and just Dragunov if this was my first time seeing him, and I was blown away, and he ended up winning the match. He's so freaking good. But just as close as you can get, similar to the Bryan and Suzuki match of just two people beating the hell out of each other, which I'm all about.
If you want to look up a good Dragunov match, look up his match against Cesaro from like a NXT UK takeover. It was like a surprise, Cesaro surprised the crowd and wrestled him, and it's a stiff match.
I'll definitely check it out. I always feel like NXT UK would be the one that I would love the most if I just took the time to watch it. It's definitely like more my style. But sure. I just haven't. And then my last one, number 11, is the CM Punk and Eddie Kingston Full Gear match. I mean, the promos were outlandish. They were amazing. They were the video package leading up to it was top tier, and the energy in the match and the wrestling, frankly, matched up to it, which I did not know if it would be possible. And that's not a knock against Eddie. He's just a different style. But he's so believable and so passionate and so awesome. And then reading his Players Tribune thing as well. Like, man, he's just such a great human being.
He really
and
is.
I'm just so happy to see him thrive. But that was a good one.
Did you see his speech that he gave after the Brody Lee tribute? I think it was on Being the Elite. Like that gave me. I think I cried during that because I was like, "This is fucking awesome." This guy cares so much about the business, cares so much about everybody in that locker room. Like this guy is a legit leader. Like, you need to have a guy like that in the locker room for sure.
Absolutely. Yep.
So that was your last. That was number 11.
That was it. That was number 11.
Perfect. All right. Before we get into the top 10, we're going to go into the top 5 pay-per-views of 2021. For me, at number 5, I have NXT TakeOver 36. Number 4, AEW Double or Nothing. I mean, the crowd being back for the first time, that energy in that show was just outstanding. Number 3, I got WWE WrestleMania Night 1. Night 1 of WrestleMania, I was like, maybe WWE is turning things around a little bit, and man, was I wrong. But what was so cool, what I thought was amazing, and I thought maybe this will open up some eyes, was the rain delay and they got all the wrestlers to cut promos, and none of those promos were scripted. They were just like, go cut a promo.
It's amazing.
And it was so good. It was so good. I just remember watching this. I just remember looking at Katie. I'm like, why aren't they letting them do this all the time? Like, this is,
if you were never sold on Lashley, you just watch that and you go, oh, I get it now. Like, I get where, like, what he could be if they just let him go.
Yeah. It's McIntyre cut a great promos. Rollins was fucking awesome.
Rollins is good.
Yeah. And Owens, the only one that wasn't that great, because he just kept saying the same thing over and over, was Braun Strowman. And you could just tell he kept looking up, he just kept going, oh man, I just love being here. Oh man, I just like he just kept doing that like over and over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's so funny.
And then the wrestling that night was great too, because you could just tell they had something to prove. Like, it was just a great night of wrestling. At number 2, AEW Full Gear. And for me, AEW, or at number 1, AEW All Out. I mean, might be a little biased because I was there, and I'm looking at my list and I realize I have more matches from Full Gear than All Out on here. But I mean, it's just being there.
I actually did too. Yeah. Spot. But I think like the quality of All Out, like I mention it in one of my things. I think it's not only is it the best pay-per-view of the year. I'll get to the rest of the list in a second. Not only is All Out the best pay-per-view of the year, it's the best one in many years. And it's crazy how good that show is, how good it has held up. And I wasn't there live, but watching it was just as awesome, and it was a good time. So
if you had to pick, what would be your number 1 all-time pay-per-view?
Oh man. It's a good question, because
mine, I think, is All Out now. It was WrestleMania 17. I think All Out overtook it for me.
So I've always been like a really unapologetic WrestleMania 19 guy. I freaking love WrestleMania 19. 17's obviously right up there as well. I really love WrestleMania 31. Like really good. It's just so good. But I will say, I think 19 still has the edge for me, but I know that's nostalgia, but All Out's probably number 2 for me. I mean, it was so freaking good.
WrestleMania
and everything came together. Yeah.
If I had to pick my favorite WrestleManias, it would go 17, 19, and probably 12. I love 12.
I do too. I know that like it's in obviously a downswing, but like I love the Iron Man match. No one else seems to.
It's my all-time favorite match.
It's just great. You and I both obviously share a huge love for Shawn Michaels. So I'll always love anything he does. Obviously 13 gets Shawn beat up Michaels too, though.
Got the DX pants.
Yeah, the DX pants. All right. 13 I also really enjoy, but the match quality is definitely not there, other than Brett and Austin.
Yep.
But yeah, so swinging it back to this year, I would say that WrestleMania Night 1 is number 5 for me. Revolution, AEW Revolution was number 4. Full Gear I have at 3, Double or Nothing at 2, and I have All Out at 1.
Yeah, nice.
And Full Gear was amazing. I don't know why I don't have it over Double or Nothing. I just that is the way I put it together. So Full Gear was probably better.
That's fair though, because Double or Nothing, it's the energy. I think Double or Nothing brings out that energy that everybody missed. You missed the fans so much, and the fans, I don't think people realized it until COVID hit, unfortunately, how much the fans really add to the show of wrestling. That you need the fans there, because you're playing off of that. Like, they're just as part of the show as the wrestlers are. Like, and you need fans in wrestling. You just have to.
Yeah. And you can't I know both companies tried to do some really cool things. Some of them worked, some of them didn't, while we were in the midst of not having fans at all. But yeah, the atmosphere is just like, it's unlike anything else. And, that feels like very like typical wrestling to say, but it's true. Like, I've been to a ton of sporting events. Nothing is like wrestling.
Right. No, it's really
concerts, nothing. Yeah. Like, it's just,
But if you can go to that show and you're lucky enough to get a hot crowd and just hear those pops and everything, man, it's just, there's no feeling like it. And I think that's why I like hockey so much too, because when you score a goal, you get that pop.
Oh, yeah. That's a really good point. Actually, hockey is, and because like, there is something different, and like some areas have this with, other things. Like I suppose. some people feel that way about baseball, some people feel that way about football. Hockey is because it's so fast, it's so intense the whole time. There's no slowing down, which basketball is like, but you're scoring every time, right? You're not scoring every time in hockey. So I would agree. Like, I think the closest thing to it probably is hockey, in terms of like your energy is just constantly up, your adrenaline is constantly up because you can't sit down, sometimes literally, but figuratively certainly.
I think for me, like going games, it was game 7 against Dallas. The Blues won in double overtime, and Pat Maroon scoring that goal. That pop, being there was the loudest I've ever heard that building. That was louder than when we won the cup, which was insane.
Wow.
Like, it's one of my favorite. It's my all-time favorite moment ever seeing hockey in person.
That's awesome.
All right. Oh yeah, I wanted to bring up real quick WrestleMania 19. One of my all-time favorite pay-per-views just ever. But what's weird, it's the lowest buy rate of any WrestleMania, and nobody has like an explanation for it. It's very strange.
It's weird to your point. Like, it's not like the business was as down as it was even a year later, or even 3 years later, or whatever. That is bizarre. And the matches are top tier. Like, they really and the setups were really great. So it is very
Michaels, Jericho,
odd.
yeah. Rock Austin, which in my opinion should have been the main event. Rock Austin, I think, should have been.
Same.
I mean, Lesnar almost breaking his head open.
Right. Yeah. And that was a great match before that. People only remember that part, but that match was great.
That match is awesome. That match is awesome.
Yeah. Even I can't remember the exact, but like the opening match, I think is Hardy. Is Matt Hardy, but like
it's Hardy and Mysterio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that's right. I'm pretty sure that's right. And but I could be mixing. I watched too much wrestling.
He's the Flash on it.
Yeah. So like, even that, like, it just sets the tone. The women's match is awesome. Like, it's just a good one. It's a good one.
It is, except for Booker losing. That's the only downfall of that pay-per-view.
It sure is. Didn't make any sense. Didn't make sense then. Still doesn't make sense.
Not at all. Not at
20
all.
years later.
I was like, oh, okay, maybe he'll win it at Backlash. And then they just do like a 6-man tag at Backlash. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Back into the top 20 matches of 2021. I'm going to go one by one. From here on out, we're going to go, if somebody has a match that's ranked higher on the other person's list, we will stop. And so that way, when we get to that point on the list, we can talk about it then.
Sounds good.
At number 10 for me, kicking it off, I have Kenny Omega versus Orange Cassidy versus Pac for the AEW World Championship at Double or Nothing. Is that higher on your list by any chance?
It is not. Nope.
All right. How dare you? Number 1. And number 2, this match, I love this match. Me and my buddy Stout, we always talked about how we were just like literally for like 3 months before this, we're like, we need a triple threat match in AEW. It's like, because they don't really do it a lot. They do a lot of battle royals, ladder matches, but they don't really do triple threat matches. And this match, I thought it stole the show. It wasn't even the main event. And this match was phenomenal to me. And just the overall storytelling in that match, you actually thought for a split second that Orange Cassidy was going to pull it out and win the title. That's what AEW has been so good about, is making you believe that, oh shit, he actually might lose. Like the champion might lose. And the way the ending was with Kenny hitting, I think he hits both of them with the belt, but he cuts his hand open on the belt and he just keeps looking at his hands like, motherfucker. Like the littlest thing he gets hurt on. But
it's funny because you had asked me about Double or Nothing, and I think one of the reasons I put it up so high was this match, and then didn't put the match on the list. Of course, it's one of those like, why didn't I do that? It's really, and it's just such good. It's good storytelling. It's like the frustration also that they were able to play into with Pac, especially like not getting that opportunity by himself, and it's such a good match. Orange Cassidy, I don't understand why people don't like him. Most people do, but like the ones that don't, like, it's like, grow up, it's wrestling.
Right. And he's a phenomenal wrestler too.
So good.
He's smooth as fuck. Like I don't get it.
And he could do all of it with his hands in his pockets. Like
that's insane.
Come on, man. Like it's ridiculous. So yeah, it is a really, really good match. And now I'm like, I definitely could have put it above a few others on that list. So I don't know why I didn't think of that match.
It's all right. I feel like you're gonna say one. I'm just, oh, you did already with Danielson and Kingston. I thought I had it on my list. And I
Yeah,
must have took it off to put something else on, and I just forgot to put it back on, I think.
that's fair.
Yeah. All right, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is the Kenny Omega John Moxley exploding barbed wire match from Revolution. Brutal fight, as I mentioned earlier. Really, they have such good chemistry.
They do.
And best wishes to John Moxley, of course, as always. Hopefully we can see that again soon, because he just brings something out in Kenny, and Kenny brings something out in him, and they just want to go out there and one up each other and destroy each other. And it was like a culmination of everything. The finish with the one wing angel on the chair, and just finishing it off, and then the handcuffs and everything else that happens afterwards is really great until the actual explosion
part.
But they're beating the crap out of him and tie him up, and that's when Kingston finally comes down. But it's like, yeah, they could, if you didn't have the explosion at the end, this match is higher on everybody's list, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. And it's like a lot of people can't let go of that, the last 5 seconds of that, which, like how you said, it wasn't even part of the match. The match was over. The match had and I don't know why AEW just didn't end it there. They should have just ended it there. It would have been a dud, sure, but at least that way you still get an ending. It's like, to me, it's like the Rollins Mysterio match from last year or 2 years ago, Extreme Rules, the eye for eye for an eye.
Let's take the eye out.
Yeah, that match is amazing. That match is a really good match, but then the ending just ruins the match.
Yep. Nope, totally. And it's hard when that happens, because there's a handful of more than a handful, certainly, of matches where that's happened. But it really deflates the whole thing. It really does. Grade it properly, basically.
I think that's my gripe with WWE right now, because it's always like, Roman's gonna win. Roman's gonna win. Like, Balor isn't gonna win. Rollins wasn't gonna win. Owens wasn't gonna win. Cesaro, so on, so on. Like, good props to WWE for actually using different wrestlers throughout the months to wrestle Roman. But at the same time, we know what's going to happen. It's not like, it wasn't like in AEW with Kenny Omega. You believe sometimes that this could actually happen. And because anything can happen. They've totally given off that vibe that you have to watch, because anything can happen at any given moment. In WWE, it's the same shit over and over and over. And I don't understand how people watch it and think it's good. I just don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's just
no. And I think it is one of those, like, it's passed us by, so to speak, like we're not the demographic that they are catering to. And I try to remember that when I do watch it, and I don't very often. We talked about day one a little bit. We won't get into that too much here, but I watched a couple matches, and that was it. Like, I couldn't really stomach to watch anything else, where again, everything was so predictable. And it's such a disservice. It's a disservice because we know, and we're seeing it, right, with people popping up in AEW and Impact and GCW, of like, this is what these people can do, and they're just not investing in it.
Right. It makes no sense to me, except, like, this is how bad it is. I have tickets to the Rumble, and I'm so excited that Johnny Knoxville's in the match. That's what I'm most excited for, is to see Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited for Johnny Knoxville to win the Rumble. That's what I'm excited for. That's
I actually want his shirt too. So good.
Love it.
All right. At number 9 for me, CM Punk, Eddie Kingston, Full Gear. I mean, it was like being in person for the promo. That got me hyped. I mean, now that when you see that promo and you see my face just like in the middle of them, me being a dumbass, just trying to smile. Little fun facts, I couldn't figure out. So I'm watching I'm looking up at like the screen that they have in the corner. So AEW has like, they have like 4 screens set up in each corner. It's like a projection on it. And I see myself. Well, I didn't see myself. I have like a couple friends. Stoutsy's in the front row. And he's like, Drake, look up, look up, look up. And I look up, and I'm just in between both of them. I'm like, oh my God, like, this promo is awesome. And I'm just right there. And I'm like trying to like get in the middle, but in person it's mirrored. So like when I'm trying to go like this, I keep going behind
the
Kingston.
other way. Yeah.
And finally at the last second, I pop back in, and you see me just smile, like right back in. I'm like, I'm sure they got backstage like, that asshole just ruined our segment. But the match itself, it was just a hard fought match. And I think it was like at the end of the match, when the match is over and Punk is just looking at Kingston, they both just look exhausted and like they gave it their all. And I think that's why I love this match so much. So they did give it their all. Punk looked like he broke his nose in the match.
Yep.
It was just good. It was stiff. I loved it. And it was like Punk. That was that at that moment, I was like, CM Punk is back.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, it definitely shook off like any rust or any I wouldn't even call it rust. Like his match with Darby was good. Like it wasn't like it was a bad match at all. But that match with Kingston, I said I also loved where like Kingston just walking away, not doing the traditional like respect thing. Like I love that. And it's true to his character. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, 100% agreed. I kind of want to go watch that match now after we're done recording.
It almost cracked my top 10. It was really close. So my next one is one you've already said as well, which is the number 9 is Inner Circle and the Pinnacle, Blood and Guts. It's another one, and these somehow just managed to be right next to each other, where I think a lot of people are talking about the ending, which frankly was not as bad as the Revolution ending. And I am glad Jericho landed in a bunch of pads.
No shit.
I don't want him smashing his back on concrete.
Dude, it blows my mind. It blows my mind that people were so upset about that. It's like, do you want him to die? Like, what's the fuck? And he actually got hurt off that. Like, he's never been hurt in his career, ever. And he actually fucked up his elbow on that. Like,
So, people need to shut up about that. It was brutal. It's the best War Games match we've seen since the original War Games.
It was a legit War Games match.
Like, because it was an actual War Games match. Exactly. It was, Sammy giving up in the end and then MJF pushing him anyway. Of course, we all saw it coming, but it doesn't make it any less impactful or in terms of the storyline, personal. Like it was really great. Just great character work and just 10 people who just went out there and again beat the shit out of each other and just made it look real, which is what we always go for. So
and if like how you just said, it was the best War Games match that we've seen probably since the WCW days, because it was legit a war where they're just blood is it was blood and guts. Like, and I have to give props to Tony Khan, as Cody Rhodes calls him, the Khan, but for just naming that show Blood and Guts after Vince McMahon said, we don't need blood and guts. I'm sure TNT won't like that. And TNT's like, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yep. Yeah. Love. I'm here for Petty Tony. Most of the time, we're not going to get into the big swole stuff. Not for us to decide on that one.
Nope. We'll leave that for Cody Rhodes in his promo.
Oh my God! Yikes! Yeah, for sure.
At least he came out and said that he regrets that promo.
I did see that this week, but
because that was bad.
Bless him. He's trying. He is.
He is. All right, back to the list. Number 8 for me, I got Walter versus I always fuck up his name, Ilya Dragunov. Dragunov for the NXT UK Championship at NXT Takeover 36. This is just your typical United Kingdom style, strong style match, stiff as hell. Walter, I would not want to take one chop, let alone how many chops did Dragunov take? Like 20 in that match or something?
Yep. I think final count was like 23 or something ridiculous.
That's
but
insane.
And none of them got softer.
No,
for either person.
It's absolutely insane. I trained in wrestling, and taking chops is no joke. Like, I remember taking one for the first time and I just was like, holy shit, my heart's going to stop. Like, holy shit. And and
that wasn't Walter doing it, right?
No. God, I cannot imagine how those feel. But selfishly, I want Walter out of WWE because I am worried that if they ever use him on the main roster, they're going to give him some goofy ass gimmick. And
I just see the Kozlov thing all over again. And
And if like Vince doesn't like that body type, look at Keith Lee, Bearcat Lee, Jesus Christ,
Samoa Joe.
Yeah, it's insane. It's like, I don't know if you've noticed like how in the last few years, anybody that's not ripped, they wear a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Like Vince is making him wear a shirt and like or something that like hides it. And it's like,
Or a singlet. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
it's
sure.
just it's so dumb. But the Walter Dragunov match, NXT Takeover 36. If anybody here watching this or listening hasn't watched that match, pause this. Make sure you come back and finish this episode though, and watch that match because this match is stiff. And if people, whenever people say wrestling's not real, go watch that match because like they beat the shit out of each other. And that's my number 8.
That's awesome. Yeah, a really, really great match. It was on my list earlier, but it's yeah, man, it was a fight, and Dragunov winning was a surprise, and also not like if the story of the match was if you felt like it was maybe going that way, but it was pretty great. My number 8 is one I think you've said already, which was Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair at WrestleMania 37, night 1 main event. Beyond the WWE patting themselves on the back for history making that took them 37 years to figure out. Besides that, the match was really good, and it was probably Bianca's best match.
Oh, I think so.
Period.
I think so by far.
And which is a shame because one of the reasons I actually can't have it any higher than it is because they dropped the ball with her too, and I don't know how that was possible. Like she was such a slam dunk and still is, and I think that they can salvage it. But she is so amazing and so athletic. I mean, literally I can't imagine her and Montez having children. Like those children's genes, you are either going to be the greatest of all time, or you're going to be a complete disappointment. I mean, I don't want to say it like that, but like, I mean, that's like, how do you live up to that? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, the two of them. But yeah, it was just a beautiful match. Yeah, just crazy athletic. But yeah, just I just really enjoyed the match. It was a perfect ending to that first day, and honestly, a perfect way to like try out the 2-day WrestleMania was having that match be last, and a lot of emotion, but it wasn't. It never detracted from the match. It was really like, hey, we're in this, and because I do think like sometimes emotion can go a little far in matches if it's like genuine, which is terrible to say, but like it can like detract, right? But this was really really solid.
Oh yeah, it was great. Night 1 of WrestleMania should have been flipped with night 2. This should have been the final night
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, because night 1 was, I think, from start to finish, I thought was fun. Night 2, I was like, all right, I'm getting kind of bored. Like, just they didn't have the same energy. It was weird.
No, yeah.
Where are we at? I was looking at my number 11 because that was my Bianca and Sasha. I was like, I almost said number 10 again.
Fair.
At number 7 for me, I have Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship at Full Gear. Is that on your list by any chance?
It is higher on my list. Yes.
We'll wait then. We'll wait.
Okay.
Next.
It's not next. No. My number 7 is Darby Allin and MJF at Full Gear.
That one might be one of mine.
Okay.
This is where we do this all the time, where it's like me and Stout will go back and forth, and then we get to the last 5 and it's like this is where it just stops. Like
yeah. No, totally get it.
At number 6 for me, I have Edge versus Seth Rollins, Hell in a Cell, Crown Jewel.
I don't have that one higher. It didn't make the cut, but it was my honor. It was my honorable mention. I wrote only one down, and it was that one. And it's mostly my own feelings about Crown Jewel that I was like, I don't feel like I put it on here.
Yeah, but I felt kind of weird about it also. I hate that.
But it was a great match.
It was phenomenal. And that was the first time WWE actually used the Hell in a Cell properly too. It's like to finish a feud. And like, I hate the gimmick pay-per-views. I'm not a gimmick pay-per-view fan at all. The only ones that like I like are Royal Rumble and Money in the Bank because it makes sense. Like it's basically like a playoff. Like, but to do a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, it just devalues the meaning of the match. They misuse it now, and it's just
all the time.
Yeah, I mean that was the first time I want to say in like 5 years that the Hell in a Cell was done correctly.
No, I think you're 100% correct on that, and that is like, and again, another story, and we'll talk about a couple of these, but another story that is years in the making. and they played it very well, and they did a really good job. And actually their series of matches and their series of promos with each other, I mean, it was a really good feud.
Yeah, it was.
Probably the best one that WWE had this year. And Seth Rollins, especially Drip God Rollins, is just a guilty pleasure, man. He's
he's like
good.
one of the only things I really enjoy about WWE still. Like Rollins has hit his stride and then some. I think he's better than what he was like a few years ago.
I think he is too. He is too during the championship run, which I also loved. And he was a freaking maniac then. And the other thing about Seth, like, because he's been like kind of in that upper mid card, but like he kind of goes back and forth. You do forget, especially because the way WWE presents people, you forget how good of a wrestler he is, and he is freaking amazing.
He's unbelievable. He's one of the best.
And this match showed it.
Yeah. I can only imagine, like, watching his matches back in Ring of Honor. I can only imagine like a match against Kenny Omega in AEW with Tyler Black, because that's going to be his name if he leaves WWE ever, which I don't see him leaving, unfortunately. But
yeah,
hopefully he gets mad.
Unfortunate. I think he's
something.
He's got a good run in him. Let's get him where he needs to be. Him and Walter.
No shit. Yeah. We need Walter and Rollins, and just, you know what, TK, just buy out WWE, get them all over there. They're all good wrestlers. Let's be honest.
Perfect. Love it.
Except for maybe a few of the new guys in NXT, which I just cannot get into, but that's neither here or there at this point. But Edge and Rollins.
That's fair.
I mean, it was just good. It's just, they looked like they actually wanted to kill each other. And then at the end of the match, with the way when the cell's being raised up and Edge just looking like a weight was lifted off his shoulder. Edge is so good at telling a story with just his emotions and like his facial expressions. Edge is a master of that. He always has been. And I think the older he's gotten, I think the more believable he's gotten.
It's crazy that he looks more deranged now.
Yeah.
But like, you're like, oh, this is like a grizzled old man who is on the edge of his rope. And he just,
and the fact that he keeps doing the Brood stuff now is awesome, because that's still to this day my all-time favorite wrestling song. Like, that beat in that song is amazing. I wish a rapper would just rap over it. Like,
oh, that would be awesome. Yeah. They need to bring the bloodbath back, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
They've been doing like weird, like, it's like black tar or something.
Yeah, the weird black tar. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't need that. I want like the full-on blood. Like, let's
let's do it right.
Yeah. I don't want the black tar. We're number 6, right? That's what we're on.
Yep.
Mine is Thunder Rosa versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, St. Patrick's Day Slam.
Might be way higher on mine.
Okay, great. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah,
such a good one.
So let's get top 5. Here we go. Number 5, MJF, Darby Allin, Full Gear. I'll let you go ahead and talk about it first, since you had it before me.
Really just a 20-minute opener to the show, but could you get a better opener? And it was fantastic. It was perfectly paced, perfectly pitched. The whole thing was amazing. MJF winning with a side headlock takeover was just chef's kiss. But and Darby just taking punishment like he always does, and dishing it out, frankly. But like, the coffin drop was one of the most brutal misses I've ever seen. The tombstone on the apron was freaking amazing. Like, and also, I just loved MJF's gear. I was like, he brought it, the gear department too. But it was good. Like, those two are another two. Like, you just throw them in at any time, any place, and they're gonna give you magic.
They're world champion material. I mean, MJF. He's your modern day Ric Flair. I mean, people like always say he's like Piper, but I'm like, he's a Flair. Like, he's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time. Like, and he's going to be like Flair, because as he's teasing the bidding war in 2024, he's not going anywhere. Like, he's staying in AEW.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, just like Flair stayed in WCW. He was in WWE for like a little bit and went right back. I could see maybe MJF doing that, but there's no way MJF would work in WWE. There's no way. He would just become another Miz.
Yeah, exactly. And he'd be worse because he'd be neutered, right? Yeah. Like that's part. Like, Miz is good at it because that's just what he does. Like, he's just where he's at. But MJF, because of how far he goes, like you neuter all of that. And not to say that he can't do it without being crass or whatever. Like, he can. We've seen him do it. But I do think it neuters the show.
Oh, you still there? Uh-oh.
I'm here. You there?
Yeah, you froze. You said he was neutered and it
Oh no.
froze. So if you want to say that again.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, yo, I was just saying that, I think that it would neuter him because he even though he did the shock, like
Mhm.
he does use it so effectively,
Right.
and he uses like the crassness and like the super personal stuff so effectively that I think he wouldn't be able to do that. And what they
No.
do is they'd script him to lose to the Miz. That's what they
Oh
do,
yeah.
right? Like that's,
Mhm. Well,
it
and he
wouldn't
wouldn't.
work. It wouldn't
Yeah,
work.
it wouldn't work at all. And like how most of the stuff that he says is off. I mean, it's right off the cusp. Like he's ad-libbing everything. And like
Right.
I know like in AEW you have bullet points like how WWE used to do in the Attitude Era. You get these bullet points, you hit those bullet points, and you're kind of free to do whatever you want. I've like what Cody said on the Wrestling podcast this past week. It was like basically he was saying that MJF just says whatever he wants. Like he doesn't even get the
Right.
bullet points. He just goes out there and sells a story, but he's that good that he can
Right.
sell anything. And
Yeah.
I think it's evident with the Punk promos lately. I mean, he's
Mhm.
matching Punk, and that's
Yeah.
extremely hard to do. And I thought he was better than Punk on Wednesday night,
Oh, I agree.
which
I
was
totally agree.
insane.
I
To the
actually
point,
think that he's beaten him most of the time that they've
yeah.
been on the mic.
Except for then Punk fired back with the go ahead and go to night 4 of extravaganza event. I'm like, oh, buy one, get one free, whatever he said. I was like,
Yeah.
damn,
Yeah.
that was awesome. But MJF Darby Full Gear. I'm trying to think he does like a shoulder breaker in that match. And I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, he throws Darby like
Yeah.
insane. Yeah. And now we need Johnny Knoxville in AEW because apparently Darby Allin is in the new Jackass movie. So,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
that's my number 5, MJF Darby Allin Full Gear. It's just a phenomenal match.
My number 5, I just lost my place here. Oh, my number 5, which I assume is going to be higher, but I could be wrong on that, is Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega at Dynamite Grand Slam.
It's hard. I'm just going to it's hard.
Yeah.
Number 4 for me, this might be higher on yours. From Winter is Coming, Hangman Adam Page versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Championship. All right, what's your number 4?
My number 4, I have an all Bryan run right here. So my number 4 is actually his last match in WWE. It's Bryan, Edge, and Reigns, night 2 of WrestleMania. And this one, like you talked about how AEW doesn't do a lot of triple threats. WWE often overdoes triple threats, but this is one where this is the best one I think they've had since the Rollins Cena Brock from the Rumble a few years ago.
That's my all-time favorite triple threat.
Amazing triple threat match. And this one I think it's definitely not up to that, but it is really good. Again, we talked about Edge and how amazing he is. Roman at the time was doing the best work of his career. To me, he's gotten a little stale because he's just, it's the same thing. Like you said, the whole year, things are hopefully picking up in that regard, but even then it's going to be another Brock Roman. And
yeah, I know.
We've seen it, you know,
we've seen it. How many times? Like at least 1 million at this point?
At least 1 million. But the good false finishes. I think that was one of those matches where you're like, Bryan could win here. Edge could win here. Like I think it was like pretty even. I think most people expected Reigns or Edge to win, but I was like in the middle of the match, I was like, Bryan could win this, and they could do it to try to keep him.
I thought they were going to let Bryan win because I thought that was like their last ditch effort to re-sign him.
Me too. Yeah. But yeah, it was a really just a really well put together match, and I loved the finish. Him stacking them both up and just like, I am the man, and I was like, yeah, all right, Roman.
And it leaves the story for him and Edge wide open too, because basically this match reminds me so much of the way it's built and the way it's told is almost reminiscent of Benoit, Michaels, and Triple H from WrestleMania 20, where Triple H and Michaels get so distracted with each other they forget about Benoit, and that's how Benoit wins the match. And in this match, it's like Edge and Bryan get so distracted with each other they forget about Roman, like towards the end, and Roman just comes in and cleans house. And it's like that is, to me, like masterful storytelling in triple threat matches, when you get 2 people distracted against each other and then you just have the other person just kind of sitting in the back, just like watching them tear each other apart, and then they just come in and win. Like,
absolutely,
that's great.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Like the storytelling of the match and leading up to the match, like I thought they did so much justice to Edge and just letting him be
Mm-hmm.
unhinged, be a tweener, and just be the guy that's like, I need
Yep.
this. And there's a part of me that's bummed they didn't just pull the trigger for him, um, but it's just one that I really enjoyed. And definitely the highest I gave any WWE match this year. If that gives you an indication of the rest of the list where we're going.
Yeah, I think Walter Dragunov was it was Edge and Rollins was my last WWE match on
Right.
my list.
Yeah.
I was at number 6. But I got a question. Is there anybody currently on the roster for WWE that you can see beating Roman Reigns at this point? Because to me, with all the releases that they've had and the way that they have booked Roman in the last 2 years, nobody's believable anymore, in my opinion. It's like whoever beats him is going to get made for sure. But
Yeah.
now it's like, who's left for him to beat now?
Unless they just have Brock do it, which would not surprise me. It would upset me, but it would not surprise me to see that. And I do love Farmer Brock. He's also a guilty pleasure. But outside of that, the only person I could see that they I think would go to, especially because he's on SmackDown now, is Drew. And I don't necessarily want to see that. It is what it is. Like, it just doesn't excite me, you know.
I mean, they pushed him down. I think it's
the most logical thing. Yeah, it's true. I mean, feuding with Moss and Corbin right now, if that's still going on. I actually didn't even watch this week. But yeah,
that's his feud right now. Jesus.
Yeah. Also, speaking of, Baron Corbin has the most protected finisher in the entire company, but he never gets pushed up to the top. I mean, he did when he was like Constable and was doing some of those things, but he was never like top. It's bizarre.
He's a good wrestler too. Like, why not just use him like how they did in NXT when he was a badass and everybody actually enjoyed his work in NXT? Like, and he never talked, and it was like he was mysterious.
Lone wolf. He was doing everything. Yeah.
And like outside of NXT, he's like a weird, like he collects like skulls of like different like animals and stuff. And it's like, why not make that his gimmick?
Right.
Like he's the skull collector or something like that. Something stupid.
Beautiful.
It's so easy, but it would work because he's creepy. Like, it would work.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I love that. But yeah, outside of Drew, I don't see anyone, especially on the SmackDown roster, that they can just pull over. Now, if they wanted to like move Big E back over, I suppose that could be feasible, but I don't know.
Lashley's the only one I can see.
Yeah, and Lashley would be the other one, of course. Yeah, which I just don't think they're going to move him over and do that. But
because he beat Roman, didn't he? Like a couple of years ago.
Yes,
and then and then Roman still somehow got the main event spot for SummerSlam. Like, made no sense.
That's right. Yeah.
Jesus.
We're asking WWE to make sense. I think we're the ones who maybe need to figure that out. But
we're using logic here. Forgot. At number 3, top 3. Number 3 for me, Lucha Bros, Young Bucks, AEW World Championship in a steel cage at All Out. Is that higher for you?
I have them higher. Yeah.
All right. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson at Winter is Coming.
Nice.
So you'd said that you had that one earlier. So I believe, right? Did I make that up?
I had number 4, actually.
Number 4. Okay, great.
Yep.
Yeah. So feel free.
This match, this was just pure storytelling. And it's kind of like this feud right now. I kind of I love it. Don't get me wrong. Like, Danielson's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. Hangman's coming up as one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. But man, this was supposed to be Moxley's spot. And I just cannot get that out of my head, how great this would have been as heel Moxley just going at Hangman, because he would have been like a crazy person. And I kind of do believe that Moxley, I think, would have won the title. I think it would have been a quick flip. And I think the story would have been, oh no, is Hangman going to go back into his like drinking ways? And then I think he was going to win it back quickly. And I think that was going to be, and then he was going to have like a long title reign. That's what I thought was going to happen. But
that makes sense.
I mean, either way, Danielson as an asshole is just great to see right now, because he can be such a prick when he's a heel.
Great.
Like him. I don't know if it tops. I don't know. Nothing tops his green.
Man, Planet's
Daniel Bryan.
Champion was the
Planet's Champion,
greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy, man, he just gets it.
He totally does.
The belt was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I want that belt, and it's like it's expensive as shit.
Super expensive.
But what he brought that hemp belt, I was like, this guy is fucking awesome. And what he was saying though, it's so funny. WWE has such a knack for making good things villains, and it's like, what are we? How are we still in this like process? Like, didn't they just recently have Mustafa Ali almost redo the same storyline they've been trying to do with him for 3 years? And then
and the one that he was like, I'm not doing that, and then like they tried to push it again. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
My God. It's like, WWE, what are you doing? Like, stop it. God damn it.
But yeah, no, you're right. He's such a good prick heel. He really is.
Yeah, and that match, I mean, I had a feeling it was going to be a draw, especially as it kept going on and kept going on and kept going on. I mean, it was great. I actually think I like their second match better. Like, yeah,
I actually agree with that. I loved their match this week. Obviously didn't make the cut for 2021, but it's but it'll make the cut next year.
Yeah, so it's number 1 right now. Oh, you froze again. Uh-oh.
I think I froze. Did I freeze?
Did I freeze?
All right, cool.
We're live.
So
pal.
yeah, that we're live. So I don't have much to add other than, I just wrote, he's Danielson's a master. Like, he is the greatest current living wrestler. He is probably the greatest of all time. You and I spoke about our Mount Rushmores recently, and you mentioned that yours were Michaels, Jericho, Punk, and Bryan, and mine were Michaels, Jericho, Punk, and Angle. And I was like, and you know what? I think that's I think Angle's been dethroned. I mean, just watching this run for the past 4 months, it's only been 4 months.
It's
and
insane.
He is out of his mind.
And he's Ring of Honor Danielson again.
It's amazing. And so it's the only thing I didn't love. I didn't love the draw for him just because he had the draw already, but I get it, like, in terms of the storytelling, and it set up a beautiful match this week. So I'm definitely okay with it. But that was the only, I definitely understand the story they're telling. And you saying what you said about Moxley makes all the sense in the world to me. And I do believe if that wasn't the direction they were going, it's the direction they probably should have gone, because that makes a whole lot of sense to me. And it is a bummer for Mox, and I'm excited for him to get back. And me too.
And hopefully Omega's not out for too much longer too. But I know both of his shoulders are like fucked up. And you could kind of tell in this last match against Hangman, where his arms just looked smaller than like they normally did. And it's like, man, I hope they think he's going to be out longer than they thought, which sucks. But hopefully he gets better soon.
I hope so. So that was number 3 for me.
Nice. All right. Number 2. I got Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Thunder Rosa, lights out match from the St. Patrick's Day Slam. You had it earlier, so
number 6, I believe.
Yep.
So it, I mean, I probably could have and maybe should have placed it higher. I just, what a beautiful match. The best women's match we've seen in a century, maybe of all time. Seriously, it was that freaking good.
It was so good.
You and I spoke about it very, very briefly after it happened, and it just so amazing. Like, everything in that match, it was so well put together. It was brutal, but it was like the story was there. And Britt, if you didn't think she was a star before, if you didn't think she was a pillar before, she is the star. And it's incredible, and it's incredible because Thunder Rosa is a better wrestler. Like, she just is. And she made Britt look like, I mean, to not use the phrase again, the pinnacle. She made her look like the most professional wrestler in the world. And it was, oh my God, what a brutal match. A great ending. The pictures from the match, are all time. They are Bloodstone. They are, I love you, I'm sorry. Like, everything about that match. It's so true. It's all wrapped into it. It's such a beautiful match. But I'll let you speak on it because it's so high for you.
Well, you talk about like the pictures of the match. The one that sticks out to me is the one where Britt Baker's like crawling, like on the ground, blood just pouring out of her face. And it's just, to me, like that solidified her as the top. Like at that moment, you're just like, she's number one. Like she's your
Yep.
next women's champion. She's going to be women's champion for a long time. But but like what you said, Thunder Rosa is so good that she made her look that much better. And I
Right.
actually do think Thunder Rosa and even I think Ruby Soho, I think those two can make anybody look like $1 million
I
in the
agree.
ring. I mean, Jade Cargill is very green, and that match was still very good
Really
to the
good.
point where at the end of the match on this past week for the TBS championship, when they're doing the final spot for Jade's finishing move, she tried to go up to the top rope. You see Thunder Rosa grab her leg, like squeeze her thigh, and you see her mouth. We're not botching this. Like it's just like just to have the wherewithal to be like, we're not doing it. Come
Yeah.
on, let's just do the finish and let's wrap it up. We had a decent match as it is, and
Yeah.
I think Thunder Rosa does the same thing with everybody she's in the ring with. Like she gets the best out of you, and she in matches I've seen with her where if she doesn't think she's getting the best out of you, she might kick you a little extra harder just to get you pissed off, to get you the kick back. And it's just
Yeah.
wrestlers that do that. Brian is one that totally does that. He's like, he'll kick you harder if you're not hitting him harder. Like,
Yep. Yeah.
and it's just so it's just beautiful to see. And this match was so beautiful. And as fucked up as that is to say, this match was beautiful. And I've shown so many people who are not wrestling fans, I've shown them this match and they were just
Yep.
in awe. Like they've had not one person had anything bad to say. And
Yeah.
I had like a work party recently, and the girls that work at my work watched this match and like, oh my God, these women are badass. And I'm like, yes, they are. This is like one of my favorite matches I
Yeah.
think I've seen in a long time. Well, at that time.
Yeah. No, it and obviously clearly still lived up. I mean, it took it took the second spot for you.
Mhm.
And it's one of those things like AEW before this match, as you know, was getting knocked left and right for the how they had done the women's division,
Mhm.
and this match really was a turning point for them, and
Yep.
they really have stepped it up in a
Yeah, they
really
have.
like honest, like awesome way. And this match was the turning point for them. I think having such a bankable star in Britt is definitely like part of that.
Mhm.
But this match itself like was so good and so far outdid anything, to the point it somehow beat WWE back into like the Divas thing, where now they
Yeah.
just do like 2-minute matches for people.
It's so
And
weird.
AEW has the better division now. I don't
It's
understand that,
I
but
don't understand how that flipped.
that's where we
Like
are. Yeah.
it was crazy. So yeah, like how you just said, when AEW started, everybody's ragging on the fucking women's division in AEW. And
Yeah.
I remember just saying you have to give it time. Most of these women are
Totally.
brand new to TV. They've never been on TV before. We have to let this build. Whereas with the men, they've all been on TV already. They've all had previous stories that they're bringing into AEW. The women were starting
Yeah.
off from scratch, and it's going to take time. I feel like wrestling fans are just so brainwashed from WWE because WWE just throws everything so quickly or just doesn't make sense that they don't let
Yep.
anything build anymore, to
Yep.
where now fans are like, oh my God, we need it now. We need it now. Stop holding back. It's like, but it takes away the storytelling. Like, look at
Yep.
that Hangman Adam
Which
Page.
is the thing that AEW does best.
Yeah, Hangman Adam Page. It was a 3-year story that finally came to an end at Full Gear. And it was just like, that was the most beautiful story I think I've ever seen told in professional wrestling because it was perfect. It was legitimately picture perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, Britt Baker,
Absolutely.
Thunder Rosa. It's my number 2.
Awesome. My number 2 is the Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks at All
Nice.
Out. The best match on one of the best pay-per-views, not just of the year, as we said, but in history. And that's not an exaggeration. And it is probably the best cage match of all time. It may be the best tag match of all time. I don't know, because I'm a big mark for tag teams, so it's that, but it's so good. It's fluid. It's flawless. The amazing run up to the finish, just all of the crazy spots that we know all 4 of them can do. A lot of callbacks to previous matches, to previous stories. They did absolutely everything in this match, and to have the Lucha Bros win, which like was just kind of a long time coming, and it was
definitely long overdue.
Yeah, it was I don't know. To me, like it's the tippy top of what you can do in tag team wrestling, and they nailed it.
Yeah,
And
they
they
did.
nailed it at a time where I feel like people were like, people haven't been giving the Young Bucks their due in like the past couple years, and I
Yeah,
don't
it's
really understand
weird.
that at all.
Yeah, they're probably
Um,
the greatest tag team possibly of all time. Like,
Probably ever, yeah.
mhm.
And for that to like that match to still happen and them to like show like we still do this shit. I was
Yeah.
just like I was happy for them. I was it's such an amazing match. I know you had it first, so I apologize for
Oh no,
taking
you're
up so much
good.
time, but
You
yeah,
were good.
let's hear your thoughts on it.
Um, well, being in person and watching Ray Phoenix jump off of the cage, my stomach dropped when that happened. I actually have it on. I got it on Snapchat. Have I ever sent you that video of him jumping
No,
off?
I don't think so.
Oh,
No.
because it just looks like he just keeps falling. Like, as it's
Yeah.
just so much higher up than people realize, and the way he doesn't like in other matches I've seen people just kind of fall off when they jump off. He jumps up and then comes down. Like, he's
Yeah.
insane. He's absolutely insane. But then you have Matt Jackson bringing out the spiked sneakers,
The
which I was
spike
like,
sneakers. Yep.
holy shit, he's bringing it back. Like, I remember back in the PWG days where he was wrestling Candice LeRae and the person we won't name, and
Yeah.
he super kicks her so bad that her blood, I mean, she was busted open the hard way. And he actually, like, he even said, like, I overshot the super kick. And he's like, I didn't mean to do that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's dangerous. Like, holy shit. But then in this
Yeah.
match, it's like, he's looking to overshoot it almost. Like,
Yeah.
the way he's like jamming like Pentagon's head, like into like the spikes, like,
Yeah.
it's just,
What makes you go, do you think the mask is stronger than it is? Because
right.
because that's just going right into the skin.
Right. Oh my God. Like, I mean, they just beat the crap out of each other in that match. And it was just, man, that was just a fun match to watch. I'm realizing, I think I totally forgot now as we're talking about Ray Phoenix. I can't remember if this was last year or if it was earlier this year. And I think I may have missed a match. Was Pentagon versus Ray Phoenix this year or last year?
I feel like it was last year, but like
Good.
I'm like maybe it. But then I'm like, well, I'm trying to think of like Phoenix's journey, and like because they were doing because they had the AAA titles too, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to remember like where that fit in with like their magic. I feel like it was last year though, but
I
I
feel like it had, yeah,
oh
because
man,
Kingston was still a heel at the time. And Kingston turned
yeah,
face at
yeah,
Revolution. So
yeah,
it's got, yeah, I think that's right. But yeah, Lucha Bros, Young Bucks. I mean, when they won, the crowd just loses their shit. It just felt like, it legit felt like a championship winning moment.
yeah,
It felt real, and it was.
yep,
I'm just very grateful that I got to see that, like, just to experience that. Like,
yeah,
if I could wish for anybody to like be in an arena, it would just be for that entire event. Just, but wish
yeah.
everybody could like just experience it just one time.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's amazing.
All right, and that was your number two.
That was my number two.
All right, before we get into the top spot, let's talk about our top 5 moments of 2021. I'll start it at number 5. At number 5, I got Bad Bunny at WrestleMania. I mean, he just was awesome. And
That is my number five too. Not to give it away, but
oh, nice,
that is mine too.
nice. He was just so good. Like, I mean, I have nothing else to say. I mean, he shocked me, and he made everybody in that arena or that stadium a fan. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I remember when he came out in his like the 18 wheeler, and I was like, this is cool because that's the album cover for
Mm-hmm.
that album. And I was like, he's just living it up. This is just a fan who loves wrestling. He gets to go and perform at WrestleMania. That's just awesome.
I feel
At
like they
number 4.
also it was like the one. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
cut
you're
you up,
good.
but I feel like it's the one. Like it was like the one time in that whole feud where Damian Priest also got to just shine and
Yeah.
just be himself and just do all the cool things that he can do. And it was yeah, I'm just a moment, like you said,
Yep.
not the best match, but definitely a top 5 moment.
Yep. And Miz and Morrison were just hilarious during that whole feud. They were actually funny. Like, WWE
Yes.
actually hit a home run with comedy in that feud.
Yeah.
And then at number 4, I got the CM Punk Kingston promo from Rampage. At number 3, I have the ending to All Out. At number 2, I have I still watch this. These the next two I watch like at least probably once a week still. it's the Hangman, Adam Page, and Dark Order's entrance on Dynamite when they came out together before they wrestled the Elite. To me, that was the moment when I realized, like, holy shit, we're legit watching like one of the greatest stories ever told. Like,
Yep.
I'm getting goosebumps actually talking about it right now. But like
Yeah.
that entrance felt like I was watching a movie. It's like that entrance. It's the part of a movie when like the team finally comes together to like finally hit their goals, but they fall just short. But instead of breaking up, they band together and get stronger. And it's fantastic. And of course, number one, I don't know how any other moment could not be number one. I feel like it might be number one on yours too. Is it Punk?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
1000%.
You can go with yours then, because I'm sure we'll talk about that.
So so to go backwards again, so number 5 is Bad Bunny. Number 4 is that Dark Order segment. Like you said, and the only thing, and this will come up again, spoiler, in a second for my number 1 match, but the only thing is, like, anytime they're there, I just think, man, I wish Brody was there. Man, I wish Brody was there. Man, I wish Brody was there.
They had the extra spotlight for him too, which I was
like,
that little subtle touch. I was like, damn, that's cool.
For sure. But it was truly amazing. So then I have Big E winning the title. Just a lovely moment with those 3, and waiting for Xavier to get his, but
sorry,
I'm not gonna hold my breath.
Sorry, Bad Bunny, I'm taking you off my top 5. Big E's number 5. Like, damn it, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, that was just awesome to see, and what a good human being he is. So that's always nice. Number 2 I have is the ending to All Out. I mean, again, just like, how do you end something that's so amazing and had so much hype, and you just keep hyping and you just keep going and you just don't stop, man. That was like Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson. I mean, man, what just amazing. And then number 1, we texted about it beforehand. We were wearing our Punk merch. We were ready to go. But CM Punk returning in Chicago, and just that, I was in tears, watching him come back. It was a moment. Like, it was like, when you talk about moments, that was like, it was like, where were you, right? And that's, man, I was watching, and I was experiencing, and I was loving it, and I'm so glad, and I knew they would, because they generally do the right thing. But them putting it first is the only way you could do it. You couldn't have done anything else. And his promo was good. It set up a match, which it didn't have to do, but they did anyway. And just his genuine love was finally able to be shown again. And I'm happy for him. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for us.
Right.
Yeah. Good stuff.
It's just insane. Like, Punk being gone for so long, him saying he would never come back. And the thing that sold him on coming back was the Brody Lee tribute show, which is like, it's such a, man, it sucks. It sucks that it had to take that to happen.
Yeah.
For him to finally come back, for him to finally realize, like, okay, this is where I want to work, because these are good people. And but it's just the beauty of AEW, the show, that they actually do care about their talent, and that they care about so many other people. And Punk was like, I just want to work there. That's where I want to work. And I'm like, that's great. It's awesome. And we got him back. And when they said the first dance is happening, I was like, that's Punk. That's got to be Punk, because who else is Michael Jordan? I mean, from Chicago, at least, anyways. And it's like, when Darby dropped, even if you think you are the best in the world, I was like, holy shit, it's happening.
Yeah.
Holy shit. One other moment I've just remembered as we were sitting here talking that I forgot that I would love to put on my top 5. Lashley winning the title finally.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a really, I actually was thinking about that when we were talking about Big E. I was like, oh yeah, Lashley also won the title this year.
Yeah. Two people long overdue to win the world title.
Yeah. And oh man, I love Lashley. I do. And like, this version of Lashley is obviously the best version, but he's always been great, and he finally put it all together, and he just has everything. And they let him just be him finally. Because we're doing all the weird stuff for the past like 4 years, and they finally
wear a headband when he doesn't have hair.
Yep. Yeah. Right. And finally just let him, start the Hurt Business, and that just has rocketed him. And here we are. He's going to face Brock at the Rumble, and I mean, it's definitely a moment. It probably should be up there, maybe over Bad Bunny as well. But that Bad Bunny moment was a moment too.
And just he has one of the most badass theme songs in wrestling right now. Maybe not as badass as Hook's, because Hook, when he comes out, I'm just like, holy shit, he's gonna fuck somebody up. But Lashley, when that dun 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 dun, when that first hits and the pyro goes off, it's like, oh shit, here we go. Like somebody's gonna get hurt. Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Before we hit number one, do you have any honorable mentions?
I was thinking about other honorable mentions. I do think like Brian and Suzuki should definitely be up there for me. Mm-hmm. I mentioned the one that I did have was the Edge and Rollins Hell in a Cell match. Those were really the two that stood out most to me. But I'm sure there are plenty that I'm missing. It also, like, I think you felt this as well, but like, especially going back to that Phoenix match in January, it's like, well, how many of these things actually happened this year? What did happen this year? This year feels like all the other years haven't, with certainly in the pandemic, like it feels like 20 years. So I'm like, I don't know, did that happen this year? But yeah, I'm sure there's some others. You'd mentioned it earlier, but the Kenny Pack and Orange Cassidy match definitely would make it on there as well.
Well, I'm like looking at my list and I realized like I only have one Young Bucks match and I don't have any Adam Cole matches on my top 20. And it's like, holy shit. Like how many, like I feel like all their matches that they've had in AEW could be an honorable mention, like especially from this past year. Like they just totally turned it up another notch. But for me, my honorable mentions, I have a few of them. One, I completely forgot as we started recording. I was like, oh shit, I meant to put this one on my list. And that's MJF versus Sammy Guevara from like the last Dynamite before they went on the road, like where Sammy just flies into the crowd. I mean, I don't know how you can take that without getting hurt. Like he smokes MJF. I mean, bad too.
Yep.
That match is so much fun.
Full force, full body. Just
that match was so much fun. You could tell they were going all out because that was the last time they were at Daly's place for a little bit. So it's like we're ending on a bang. I thought that was great. Honorable mentions besides that, Money in the Bank ladder match, Stadium Stampede 2, Sting and Darby Allin versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, the cinematic match. The match is so much fun.
It's a good match. Yeah.
And he got Hook. That was like the first time we got to see Hook like take a move or like do something. Like he's the future. He's your next pillar, in my opinion.
I love Hook, man. He's great.
He's smooth. He's just so smooth.
Yeah.
Next I got John Cena, Roman Reigns, SummerSlam, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, 2 out of 3 falls, and Jurassic Express with Christian Cage versus the Super Click at Full Gear.
That's one I was thinking as we were talking was one, and the first match with Christian Cage and Kenny Omega was also one that I was like, oh, that was actually really great too, and probably should have been on there, but really enjoy the Lucha Express with Christian. I just feel like that's like it's just such good chemistry, and they've been having some good matches.
I can't wait for Christian to turn on Jungle Boy. That feud's going to be awesome. Like then that match is just going to tear the house down. I kind of hope they're building towards it for Double or Nothing. I kind of hope he turns on him at Revolution, like build it.
Yeah.
I know AEW is different on the way they have heel turns and face turns. They don't really do a whole lot of pay-per-views. It's always on Dynamites or Rampages to build up for it. That's when I feel like he should do at Revolution, maybe screw them over on the tag titles.
Sure. That's a really good point. Yeah. And Christian as a heel is just he's just so fun, man. Yeah, so fun.
He is. Yeah, I know. We're just getting ready. Like he's getting ready, I think, to take off like as a monster heel for AEW. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm here for it. All right, here we go. Number one match of 2021. For me, it was Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, Dynamite Grand Slam. It wasn't even for the title. It was just a match. And it was, man, that the atmosphere, the stadium, the tennis stadium that they were in, and the overall presence of that match, the storytelling, it was so good to just go to a time limit draw and people were so mad about that. I'm like, why are we mad? We're gonna get more. Like, this is great. This is building towards something. Like, I can't wait.
They're trained for that instant gratification, but I thought it was instant gratification.
Yeah.
It was nonstop for an hour. It wasn't we just talked about like the WrestleMania 12 match, which was pretty comparable in terms of that, because they're one of the first Iron Man matches where they're like, you're just going to keep going and you're just going and you're just going. This was even better because we are in a faster paced environment now. Yeah. And it was so good. I'm going to pull up what I wrote on this one. I said, I don't think draws are a bad thing. And if this happened earlier or 6 months later, Danielson would have won. Like, yeah. I believe they would have pulled the trigger on that. I don't think they could have because of the story they were telling. Yeah. And I think it made title or not, like, I think it made the most sense for the draw to happen.
Right. And AEW is really good about not having the world champion lose. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're great. Yeah.
They're so good about not having their world champions lose. Like,
any of their champions. Yeah.
And that's why that's why I love that draw.
Yeah, no, me too. And that's, I look at those things. And then this week was like the first DQ finish that we've had. And I'm like, they know what they're doing with that, because they are doing the opposite of what you've seen so many times, where it's like, let's beat the champion 100 times and then challenge him. Right. And it's like, that doesn't work. No, it destroys everybody.
Yep. It destroys their credibility. It makes them not believable as champions. And AEW has done such a good job of making their champions believable as champions, where Kenny Omega's like, I'm not giving up this title basically over hell or high water. And it took everything for a Hangman to beat him. And going back on the Hangman match for Full Gear, when I think my favorite part is when Kenny's kicking him in the head and Hangman pops up and goes, "No, you don't, motherfucker." And then he goes to kick him again, keeps kicking him again. And he pops back up and just hits him with this giant fucking lariat. And then they just both just collapse. And I'm just like, all right, this is just beautiful storytelling. I love it.
Yep. Yeah, no. And this match, was like, I think some people felt like maybe it was too soon, or they were worried about what would happen with the Hangman match, which I'll get to in a second. But it just was so good. And it was just such a showcase, obviously, for Danielson and for Omega, but it was like such a showcase of like, he didn't get to do any of this, and he didn't get to be this guy for 10 plus years, and now he gets to be that guy, and he gets to just be wrestling with reckless abandon, and this is who he is. The maniac.
An absolute
that
maniac.
Picture from this week was ridiculous.
He's just sitting
with the blood
trainer?
just pouring down. Yeah,
he just looks like he's in shock too. He's just like, holy shit, I just went to war. Like, but I don't think it's, I mean, for me, I think Danielson's the wrestler of 2021. I think he's going to be number one on the PWI like 100 list, I think, when that comes out next year. I don't know how you can argue it. I mean, he's giving 110% at every single match he does, even with matches like Bowens or Daniel Garcia. I mean, Kingston. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. Danielson goes out there and gives 110% every single time. And in my opinion, he's number one for me in this list.
Oh, I agree. Him going through the Dark Order and just like kicking the shit out of everyone. Like, I'm like, this is what he is, and he's just showing that what he's always been, basically. But he's something else. Like I said, he really might be the greatest of all time, and we're seeing it get to play out after we thought he'd never wrestle again. And that's like all of this is bonus time now. It's just bonus time, and we get to just enjoy it, and he gets to just enjoy it.
Yep. Yeah, he's loving it. I think he's loving it every second of it. And I know he talks about possibly wanting to go back to WWE, like maybe after his contract is up, but honestly, I don't see him going back right now. I think he's staying. I think he's staying for sure.
I do too.
Yeah.
If he goes back, I mean, I can't see him going back and getting fulfillment out of wrestling that style again.
Right.
I just can't.
Yeah,
but what I will say, one of the things I will say, and I noticed it in the Hangman and Danielson match, is the polish that he has, speaking of, as someone who has wrestled on TV for, the past 15 years, is like it's noticeable. It
Oh
is
yeah.
noticeable, like he did take the good things that WWE does and he's incorporated them into what he's doing now. And it's
Hmm.
like you can really see that polish when you look at other, other people who maybe have not been doing it that long. And not to say that Hangman was great in that match as well, but it was like, oh, I'm looking at this guy who took every positive thing that he could
Hmm.
siphon from the evil empire and then took it back to the rebels and said, look what I'm doing.
There's two
um,
other, I've thought that about him. There's two other wrestlers I've thought this about too. Adam Cole's one, and
oh yeah.
actually Miro is the other.
Oh yeah.
Miro, when they did that horrible wedding angle with Kip Sabian at the beginning of the year, Miro did something that like I hadn't really seen done in AEW at that time, and it probably didn't help that the crowds weren't really there. But it was the Miro saying "What is love," and the crowd starts chanting, starts singing "What is love," and I was like, "Oh, that might
Right.
be his new thing," like because
Yeah.
he stopped and looked at the crowd and he's like, "Yeah, go ahead, chant that, chant it. We need chants," and like he's kind of like was controlling the segment at that point. He just took it
Yeah.
over. It's like you can tell this guy's been on TV before versus the other four that were in the ring. And like he's
Right.
commanding the audience right now. And I
Right.
can't wait for Miro to, I think he's injured right now. I think that's why he keeps doing like these vignettes and stuff. But I think when he comes back, I think he might be, people don't talk about him enough. I think he might be a world champion this year.
We didn't talk about the Danielson Miro match, which was also great,
Oh, yeah.
and
Shit.
obviously set up
Mhm.
the Danielson and Hangman match. But it like that is, I mean, Miro is, and he's just so far above in skill level and
Mhm.
confidence that he was prior. And I loved the Rusev Day stuff,
Oh,
but
yeah.
the Redeemer, the
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 Redeemer is
person who
so badass.
he's always talking to his God and then putting his God down. I love
Right?
everything about it, man. He's so good. Yeah. So my
Was he
number
say,
one.
did he
Oh,
say
go
that
ahead.
the two things that motivate him are a vengeful God and a flexible wife or something like that?
The
It's like,
flexible wife. Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
God, I fucking love Miro. I love that he's
Oh,
still adding a little
he's so good,
comedy
man.
into it, like slides it
Yeah.
in at the last second.
I mean, he really like, and you can hear it anytime he does like actual interviews and things like that. You're like, this dude's just a funny guy. And again, like I think he took the things that worked and he's sprinkling them in just like you're
Yep.
talking about. Like
Mhm.
he's good stuff. And it's weird that he's become like a veteran, right? Like
Right.
it's,
Yeah.
but he really is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. All
Um,
right. Number
so
one.
my number one, as you all probably could have guessed, is Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega at Full Gear. And it's for the reason that you said. I'll let you talk about it, but it's for the reason that you said, which is that it's the greatest story ever told.
Mhm.
And I think it's really hard to like to go beyond that. I'll talk a little bit more, but I want to hear your thoughts. I know you had them on earlier as well.
I mean, yeah, it's just the the match, the way it's told, the way it ends is it's just everything comes full circle in this match. Everything just it ties up every loose end that story had. It just ties it up all, it wraps it up perfectly, and gives this match is like a gift to us wrestling fans. This is the blueprint on how you should tell a story, work through a story,
Mhm.
spread it out over time, keep going back to it here and there, and finally when you're ready, you just hammer it home and just go 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 from there. And the ending of that match with the Bucks coming out and giving them like the nod, like almost like an apology. It was almost like we're
Mhm.
sorry. And Kenny even like on the Dynamite, he's like, you were the better man, almost as that was his apology. And now
Yep.
you can tell the seeds were planted, slowly transitioning back into Kenny still doesn't trust Adam Cole. And
Right.
that's like that. Now we're branching off into that. Well, now we're in the epilogue of Hangman's story and like how he's going to go and where's his next story? Where's that going to begin? Like, and I think now if he's done with Danielson, I think now we're seeing this is
Mhm.
now chapter 2 of his story. And
Yeah.
it was just so beautifully well done. It starts back in New Japan, even like it goes all the way back to where they
Yeah.
still didn't really respect him then. They told him he wasn't Full Gear ready and all this stuff. And it culminates at the event named after him. And it's perfect. It was literally
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, I mean, going back into those New Japan stories and him even turning at one point, and him and Cody, and like just kind of the all of that stuff really just like you said, it culminates here, and everything is beat by beat perfection. It's,
Mhm.
I said I think there are matches on both of our lists that technically are better. Like, they are better technical matches.
Mhm.
They are, as you mentioned, like Kenny's definitely hurt here, and I think it's apparent enough, but I don't think it's like it doesn't detract from the match at all. Like, it's very much like he's going out on his sword, which I think you can kind of feel a little bit. But other than
Right.
that, like, it's just a beautifully done match. It is, like I said, nothing comes close to that as a 3-year story. That slow burn. He had everything. He lost everything. He thought he had it back. And he
Mhm.
lost it again, and then he finally has it, and he's able to just finally end it. I said this is, to me, this could be their Austin Hart moment. And I think they're doing well. I think they're like beautifully following it up with Hangman,
Mhm.
and they're still like pushing him to the moon and making him the guy. And I do think, to that point, I do think like that Moxley situation and story that you proposed would have still done that. But I think they've done the best with what they have, and now he's given Brian his first loss, and
Mhm.
he's on the train, and
Yeah.
he's so freaking good.
He is
And
so good.
he and MJF, like these two young guys who are just so good. It's really exciting to see.
It is. It's so much fun to watch. And you know what? I was saying Miro, but I think MJF is the person that's going to beat Hangman for the title. I do. I think we're going to totally get that. We haven't seen them wrestle each other yet, have we?
Not to my recollection. I'm trying to think back, like to like his dark days, if like
Yeah.
he like lost to him in his drunk stupor, but I don't think so. I don't think
I
we
don't
ended up
think so.
facing him.
AEW is really good about holding off on other
Yes.
people wrestling each other. Like we still haven't seen Hangman versus Punk, Moxley, Miro. I mean, you have so many
We
people
haven't seen
still.
Punk against a ton of people, which is a great thing. Like, yeah.
It's so awesome. I'm so excited for the future of AEW. AEW has done such a good job of building up this roster, and they're going to add a few more. And, you don't want them to overdo it, but shit, the way that they're going right now, they're figuring out a way to spread it out and actually
Yeah.
fill in the gaps. And, some weeks you might not get the same wrestler 2 weeks in a row. That's what
Right.
they're really good about doing that. So,
Yeah.
and hopefully we maybe see Wyatt. I really want Johnny Gargano in AEW bad.
Yeah.
But now the number one person I want in AEW is William Regal since he got released.
Yeah. I mean, and it's one of the most baffling decisions I've ever seen.
Crazy.
Maybe outside of Bray Wyatt. And it makes no sense to me. Like, the amount of knowledge that man has, the amount of clout, the amount of respect, the amount of recruiting skill that he clearly has.
Yeah.
I get it if you're like, hey, it's not the direction we're taking NXT, but if you can't find a place for him in your company,
Right.
in your entire company, that makes no sense to me.
It doesn't make any
AEW, Impact, whoever snatches him up, it's like you have a winner here, and
Right.
you have people who are going to follow because they believe in him.
Right. And the women's division's about to get Toni Storm on top of it because she's like really good friends with Britt Baker. It's coming. And it's like
I just love that she was like, I'm done.
yeah. She's like, oh, I'm
She's Steve
wrestling
Austin
Charlotte
with
for
that
the
shit.
title. Yeah.
Take my
She's
ball
like,
and go home.
She's like, I got better friends and a better company over here. Like, I can't wait to see her and Jamie Hayter. They are so similar in style that I think those two together are going to mesh so well together.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love Jamie Hayter. I'm excited. Like, she keeps getting better every week too, and I'm excited for the eventual blow up with her and Britt. But it's exciting times, I think, are ahead. I also think, similar to Regal, I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a run at Joe, and try to bring him in some way. I think Punk would love that, obviously, but a lot of folks would over there. And I think he wants to wrestle still. I don't think that's like I don't think he wants to be the guy in the suit or the announcer or whatever they were making him.
I heard that he was cleared like for a while and they just never wanted him to wrestle. And then in NXT, when Vince was like, I'm changing everything, I've heard rumors that he actually wasn't hurt and they just made him give up the title.
That is what I heard originally as well. Like, it sounded very much like this is not the direction we're taking this, so you need to give up the title and we'll find something else for you. And then 3 months later, they say, just kidding.
It's almost like Vince got pissed that, because Triple H obviously vouched for Joe to come back to get rehired, and Vince didn't like him, released him. And then when Triple H rehires him, he pushes him right to the main event spot of NXT quickly and right away gives him the title back. And it was almost like at that moment, because after Joe wins that title, NXT just, you could just tell something was different and everything changed after that.
Yeah. The vibe was completely off. You know, I'd go as far as saying, like, I think that Vince probably also took it out on Killer Cross, Karrion Kross, and you know, him coming up and obviously getting that like weird demolition gimmick and whatever the hell was happening there, losing to Jeff Hardy.
Oh my god, that was so weird.
And you know, there's always these like talking heads that are like, let it play out. It's like, we've seen the story. We know what it's going to be if you let it play out. AEW, you can let it play out. They know how to tell stories. WWE knows how to hotshot things and just ruin it. NXT 2.0, they're losing obviously a lot of what made NXT. As someone who grew up in 90s cartoon wrestling, there's a part of me that really freaking loves it. But there is a part of me where I'm like, we're not gonna get the wrestling style. We're not going to get the ability that we've had in the past. But it's, I'm trying to give it some time, but it's frankly, like it's just so much more enjoyable to watch AEW. Like it just is. And they reward you instead of punishing you for being a fan.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. You just get fulfilled when you watch AEW. WWE, you just get angry at the whole time. You're like, what is this? Why am I watching this?
Exactly.
But that wraps it up for our top 20 matches of 2021. Before we get out here, let's hit them with a 1, 2, 3 finish. That's 3 shout outs. Do you have 3 shout outs you want to talk about? Or
I'll give 3. First, just a shout out to the Anything But Credible boys. I think we were really hitting our stride in a lot of ways. Things have been really awesome. We're doing some great collabs lately. You know, check out all of those that are coming up. Obviously, us here right now on Offended, but doing some things with Going Off Topic and we're doing things with Movie Merge, and it's been a really good time, and I'm really excited about that. Shout out number 2 is just going to go out to John Moxley. We talked about him a lot here, but it's been weird not having him around, and also like him going through all of this as a new parent and trying to figure that out, and they moved to Ohio too, and you know, I just a shout out to John Moxley because I know that it's not that he'll ever hear this, but he is he's just such a he's such a not just an inspiration in the ring, but his story is amazing. He is by all accounts a great person, and just wish him well, because you know, the company's been great. Obviously they've been pulling in people and developing talent and doing things, but there is still something missing without him. Like he just is kind of the soul there, you know. And it would be great to have him back. Last shout out is just going to go to you, Todd. I just appreciate you having me on. I've been wanting to talk wrestling for a long time, wanted to talk wrestling on a podcast specifically for a long time, and the ability to do this and your show is so freaking awesome.
Thank you.
And it really, like, once I found out that this was on the network, even before we started seeing each other, you know, I was a big fan, and so I'm excited to listen to every week, and I'm also excited where you're taking this. I'm really excited for the Weed Show, as a new aficionado myself. I'm real excited to see where that goes as well.
Nice, thank you so much. Maybe we do this weekly, bi-weekly. Maybe we do like a wrap up. I used to do wrestling wrap ups all the time. I think we might have just added another show to the network, Dugan. The weekly wrestling wrap up might be back, Dugan.
I know, we're just blowing it up here.
Let's go. I love it. Let's fucking go. I'm being serious about that. I need to talk to somebody else about it instead of Katie about
I would love that.
no disrespect, Katie.
I would truly love that. And
but my first
I would love that.
Shout out to you for coming on the show. Thank you so much. It was that was a lot of fun, man. Like that was the first like wrestling talk I've had to where everything hit perfectly, in my opinion. That was really good. This is like the first wrestling show I've done in a long time where I thought this just went smoothly. I'm gonna listen to it back and probably hate it, but
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
no, this was great. This was really good. You and I have very similar opinions when it comes to wrestling. So I think a wrestling show is definitely in the future for both of us, for sure. I
We'll love it.
If you're down, I'm down.
Totally down, 100%.
Perfect. My second shout out,
Absolutely.
Everything Must Go sucks. And my first shout out, or my last shout out, I'm ready to defend my title again. That's my last shout out. I'm ready to defend the movie title again. So
yeah, let's get the movie game going for sure.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
Maybe we know it's not the holidays anymore, but we still do the holiday movie game.
Yeah, wait, we could do it. I'm down. I said at the beginning, it's all holidays. It's not just Christmas. So we'll do it for the Valentine's episode. I don't care. Let's do it for President's Day. Let's.
I think the only President's movie I can think of right now is The Campaign. Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis.
That's fair. Yeah. There's also there's Head of State with Chris Rock, right?
Oh yeah,
we can do that one where he's the first Black president, and then we had one like 2 years later.
Yeah. Holy shit. So Thomas, where can we find What's Your Bliss again?
So you can find What's Your Bliss at anythingbutcredible.com. You can also search for What's Your Bliss anywhere where you find podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, the whole gamut. I think we're on iHeart. I don't know. We might be on Amazon just like you are, Todd. I really don't know. I'm just like, we're out there. You can find us on Facebook. Follow us at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Your Bliss Pod.
Nice. And you can follow all of us at anythingbutcredible.com. We got What's Your Bliss, Offended Podcast, Going Off Topic, Anything But Credible Podcast, Movie Merge, and Spacing Out Podcast, all at anythingbutcredible.com. Make sure to go check that out. You can follow Offended at all social media outlets at Offended Pod. Like Thomas said, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're on Amazon now. I mean, I tried it the other day. I'm like, this is cool. Like, tried it with my Alexa.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
But yeah, make sure to subscribe, follow us, give us all a 5-star rating, please. Even if you think our show sucks, just please give us a 5-star rating. Just help us out,
Help us out.
But anyway, Thomas, thank you so much for coming on. This was a blast. We're definitely getting the rest of the show together. You don't have a choice. It's happening.
I'm excited. I'm excited. No, I'm excited. I'm pumped.
Perfect. All right. For Thomas, this is tricky. This has been Offended, presented by the Anything But Credible Network, and we will see you guys next week.